Says we're live.
My screen still shows us loading, so it'll be, a couple seconds. Okay, there it is. I think we're good. Okay, I believe we are live.
All right, I got one more minute and we'll start. All right, I have 7 o'clock. I might be maybe 30 seconds early, but I've got 7 o'clock here. So welcome everybody to the September 23rd, 2020 Mayfield Board of Education meeting. Mr. Snyder, can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Finaro,
Here.
Ms. Grosek,
Here.
Mr. Hess,
Here.
Mr. Hughes,
Here.
and Mr. Tressi.
Here.
Thank you. Our first item on the agenda, it seems like it's been years since we've had this. We're so excited. We have a student of the month, all the way from Center Elementary School, the Center Cyclones. We have Ren Sharma, 5th grader from Center. So welcome, Ren. Dr. Kelly is going to read a little bit about you, and you have the distinction of being our first virtual student of the month. I don't know if there'll be any more after that, but you are our first one. So congratulations on that and on your award. Okay, Dr. Kelly.
Congratulations, Ren. And for all of you out there watching on YouTube, doesn't Ren look absolutely beautiful? I know we can't see you clapping right now or nodding your heads, but she looks spectacular. That bow in her hair and that beautiful smile, you just radiate all the way through the screen. So Ren, we have a proclamation. I believe you already have it. Is that right? Let's see your proclamation. Hold it up while I read for everybody watching what it says. Don't forget to show your beautiful face too, so everyone can see that smile. So the Mayfield City School District and the Mayfield Board of Education present this proclamation to Ren Sharma, Student of the Month from Center Elementary School. Whereas Ren is a 5th grade student at Center School, Ren is recognized by her teachers for striving to display the qualities of a Mayfield Wildcat, and I will say a Center Cyclone as well. She is a global citizen who excels both personally and academically. And whereas Ren shows she cares about herself because she is conscientious about her school and displays critical thinking skills, she can be counted on to actively participate during class discussions and small group activities. Ren is never satisfied with just completing an assignment. Instead, she puts forth all of her effort and isn't afraid to go back to the project to ensure that it meets her own high standards. Ren is currently taking 6th grade math at the middle school while completing all of her 5th grade work at Center. Ren takes piano lessons and is quite an accomplished pianist. She is also a very talented guitar player. Wow, you're amazing. And whereas Ren shows she cares about others because she is a friend to everyone. Ren displays her kind heart and empathy by always making sure her classmates are included in the activities, both in the classroom and on the playground. She brings joy to everyone around her with her bright smile that we're seeing right now and kind words. She goes all in when it comes to Mayfield Spirit Days and hashtag Lucky to be a Cyclone challenges. She is a role model to her classmates and to younger students. Ren is also able to handle difficult situations with grace and determination. You are really a special young woman. She is extremely complimentary and often sends teachers thank you emails or messages in Schoology. And whereas Ren is dependable and responsible, her teachers say Ren can always be counted on for her willingness to step up when a teacher needs help with a special project. Ren is a student who has quiet leadership. When she is involved, the project is always in good hands. Now, therefore, be it resolved, Ren, on behalf of all of the members of the Mayfield school community, Ren Sharma is named the Mayfield Board of Education Student of the Month for Center Elementary School on this day, September 23rd, 2020, our first virtual Student of the Month. Congratulations. Let's all clap for Ren.
Congratulations, Ryan.
And Ren, let's get your parents in the picture, your mom and dad.
Congratulations,
you?
everybody.
Thank you so
Congratulations.
much. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for sharing such a wonderful young lady with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Ron?
Okay. Ryan, you don't have to stay and watch any more of this if you don't want to. If you have homework to do, we understand. But we're going to move on with our meeting. Congratulations and good luck with that 6th grade math. I know you'll do great.
Thank you.
Our next item tonight is item B, honors. We have the following teachers are recognized as renewing their current master's teacher status. A master teacher demonstrates excellence inside. I got to move my screen a little bit. Excellence inside and outside the classroom through consistent leadership and focused collaboration to maximize student learning. Master teacher strives for distinguished teaching and continued professional growth as specified by the Ohio standards for the teaching profession. So congratulations to Gina Burrich, foreign language teacher at the high school, Rachel McBride, our guidance at the high school, and John Sullivan, the language arts teacher at the high school. Dr. Kelly, I don't know if you have anything else?
Absolutely. So to Gina, Rachel, and John, great job. We really appreciate all your excellence in and out of the classroom. You guys are amazing people. On top of it, we really appreciate you. So congratulations on renewing your master teacher designation. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Our next item is presentations. Tonight we have Mr. Jeff Schiller from Center Elementary School. He's going to provide us with a all access learning test presentation tonight. Mr.
All right.
Schiller.
Thank you very much. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I've got a very short presentation. Okay, if you can give me a thumbs up if everybody sees that. All right. Well, before we begin, I just wanted to let everybody know Mrs. Ratina was unable to be with us here this evening, but she sends her congratulations to Ren and her family. And she also wanted to send along a thank you to Mrs. Benvenuto, who in a little bit will be sharing a testimonial with us all tonight. I would like to take a second just to thank Dr. Kelly, the Board of Education, and Mr. Snyder for having us here this evening to talk about Center's journey so far this year. And although it's just been a short little step into the year, definitely we've covered a lot of bases so far. So Dr. Kelly has asked us to share how we are doing this, how we're blending remote learning as well as our in-person learning. One way that we're doing this is through teamwork. Just see if I can. This was a quote that was given to us by a staff member a couple of years back during a particularly tough day. And it's, "This too will make you stronger." And that quote came up in the beginning of the year as we were trying to kind of balance, how the school year was going to look. So this is definitely something that has ring true this year. And we definitely feel that through our teamwork that it has definitely made us stronger. Before we talk about how we're blending our remote and our in-person learning, we just wanted to let everyone know that there are some things here at Center that we've done over the last 27 days. And we have quite a few things that did not exist before August 12th of this year. So I'm going to take just a few minutes just to tell you a few things in these categories. So the social emotional, what we've done with our learning spaces in regards to collaboration and instruction. So we've created a phase-in program this year that provided each student a 30-minute meeting with his or her learning team prior to the first day of school to help them make personal connections. We learned about and implemented morning meetings and closing circles, and we're doing that daily to build connections, to set and celebrate goals, and set a positive tone for each school day. We now have a first grade special that focuses on social emotional support and safety, and that is team taught by our guidance counselor and our student resource officer. We have a student-centered mentoring program to help students with their academics, time management, emotional support, and their personal goals. We now have 24 learning spaces that are designed for a blend of virtual and in-person instruction. We've transformed our building into a socially distant wonderland that makes our students feel welcome while following all health and safety guidelines during a worldwide pandemic. We now have outdoor learning spaces for each grade level to use as they please throughout the day. We have 2 clinics so that those who are not feeling well can be separated comfortably from those who are just needing their medications, a Band-Aid, or a little TLC. We have additional spaces that we've created in times throughout the day that are specifically designed for student-led asynchronous learning that encourages student agency. In regards to collaboration, we have 10 paraprofessionals that are teaming up with our students and our teachers virtually to support academics via Zoom, Seesaw, and Schoology. Our paraprofessionals and certified staff members are collaborating regularly during our PLC meetings to design and carry out interventions in small group instructional support. We now have a specials class and staff that support that completely support project-based learning. We pre-assessed all of our students virtually in reading, writing, and math, and have since then designed small group lessons to match their various learning needs. We've learned and implemented, we've learned about and implemented a unified learning framework that includes our morning meetings, closing circles, and a flipped blended learning environment, as well as the workshop model. Flip over, and here is an example of what that framework looks like. This consists of our morning meetings and our closing circles to begin and end the day. And then we have morning meetings. And these morning meetings include both our remote and our in-person learners. And then from there, we have 2 main instructional blocks. This is a combination of mini lessons. There's some small group work. There's some intervention work, and then some assessing that is happening during these blocks. Also during these blocks, our teachers are taking time to check in and meet and teach in small groups with our virtual students, while our in-person learners are doing their asynchronous work. So one of the goals that we wanted was whatever we are doing in the classroom, we're trying to mirror as best we can for our virtual learners. Now, again, how are we doing this? We're doing this through teamwork and a lot of support. And we've done this over 27 days. And those 27 days included 4 professional development days and 23 days of balancing instructing students, as well as coming up for the plans to begin this year. We would like to thank all of our board office administrators who have been so supportive and have been active partners throughout this entire process. We'd also like to make sure that we thank our parents, our grandparents, our aunts, our uncles, and our babysitters who have helped our kids throughout this process and the transition back into school, and have also helped problem solve along the way here. Our team center staff, our students, and our community are trying to make the magic happen every day. And we are stronger, and that is no doubt in part to our teamwork. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Schiller. I was going to ask you what you thought your biggest hurdle was, but after looking at that second slide and hearing everything that you had to go through, I think I figured it out. You have a great staff there of classified and certified employees. You guys have done a great job. Please thank them for everything they're doing, all the changes they've had to go through from the spring through the summer into now what we're going through now. You guys are doing a great job. Keep up the good work.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Jeff, congratulations to you and Kate and the entire staff over there. You've got the model that you guys have worked so hard on to put into place and to implement. I know it's early. I know there's still a lot of bumps in the road. I know you guys are fine tuning it every single day, but it is quite remarkable And like everything else that we tend to innovate with around here, it becomes a model for other school districts. So just really congratulations, congratulations on a great start.
Well,
A
thank you.
great start to him. Carl is here too. So I know Carl is a big part of all of that.
Absolutely.
That's a segue for you, Mr. Finaro.
Thank you. I got it. So our next item is a all access learning testimonial. We have Mrs. Carla Benvenuto here. Ms. Benvenuto, it's all yours.
Hi, good evening. I'm Carla Benvenuto and I teach fourth grade at Center. When Kate asked me to share my experiences with All Access Learning as a remote teacher and a parent, we were about 3 weeks in and I still was trying to figure it out. So I thought about it and it brought me back to an analogy that Kate used at our very first staff meeting last year. She compared us all to captains of boats. And right away, this sparked my interest because, like the Retinos, my family also really loves the lake. She said that we were all captains of our own boat and that we all had our very own sailing experience. But her main message was to sail our boats out of our comfort zone, to take the chances and to navigate in waters that we may have not sailed before. This was our goal for the year. I was already in uncharted waters because it was my very first year teaching fourth grade after teaching second grade for 20 years. So needless to say, I was a bit nervous. Our fourth grade team started working and we started working really hard. We started to sail our boats and we just made it out of the break wall by having the students start to set goals and to start writing reflections. Then we got a little bit braver and we started sailing a little bit more further out and we implemented our All Access Fridays where we gave students choice and voice, where their learning was driven by interest and curiosity, and where data was collected to personalize each of the students' learning. Every week we sailed further and further away from the dock, and then March. We all know what happened in March. We threw our life jackets on because we started to get into really choppy waters. We started to ride waves that we couldn't control. So we knew that we had to start building better boats. But it set us back a little bit, but it did not stop us. So here we are. We were fully remote as of last week, and we're headed back. We're headed back providing all access learning to all of our students. So how am I doing it? Well, I am a captain of my own boat, but I am a first mate to 2 other boats, a kindergarten boat and another fourth grade boat. And on those 2 boats are 2 very special passengers. My son, who is in kindergarten with Mrs. Leskovic at Center School, and my daughter, who is in 4th grade with Mrs. Gampatilla at Center School. And I could not be happier with their captains this year. With that, both of my children will continue to stay remote until we were able to reevaluate after the first semester. But I know that there are big challenges that Mayfield teachers are facing, providing all access learning for our remote learners and for our face-to-face learners. I have witnessed all access learning in the approach in kindergarten already, and it has only been 4 weeks. My little Brody, he loves receiving personalized messages from Mrs. Leskovic through Seesaw. In 4 short weeks, they have developed a relationship and a very strong bond. And this happened through remote learning. My Avery, for my little Avery, she's in 4th grade, and her team of teachers have continued to sail forward, implementing the all access approach to learning. We send our 4th grade weekly letter home on Sunday nights. This allows our students to see the overview of the week's learning goals and assessments and our assignments. It gives the children the agency, allowing the child to plan out their week and give them choices when they would like to do their assignments and when they would like to watch their videos. We also have really encouraged our students to set daily completion goals. Our lessons include a variety of teaching strategies. One of the teaching strategies that we use this year is the flipped classroom approach. Before we started our remote journey, we created a video explaining what a flipped classroom looked like. We sent it to all of our parents prior to our family phase-in orientation, and we asked them to come prepared with any questions or concerns that they had. They were the first to actually experience firsthand a flipped lesson. During our short time remote, we also had many opportunities for engagement. One example was when I taught the scientific method this year. As a class, we were able to conduct 2 experiments using the steps of the scientific method. The students were so extremely engaged, and the experiments sparked so much of their curiosity that I received so many pictures, emails, videos, text messages from students and parents of students who decided to take our experiments a little bit further and change up the variables. And they were so excited to share this with their classmates and with us and with me. And it really made my heart smile. As we move now into a blended classroom, we are all going to be faced with a lot of challenges, but a boat doesn't sink because the water around it. A boat sinks when water gets into it. And you better believe that the staff at Center Elementary School will not allow water to get into our brand new Better Boats. Thank you.
Very nice. That was awesome, Carla.
Thank
That
you.
was really awesome. So I've got this little reaction for you here. You see it? That was a wonderful testimonial. Well said, well
Wow.
put, really describes it.
Great job.
Great
Thank-
job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us tonight, Carla.
Thank you.
And thanks for all the hard work all of you are doing. I mean, where we've come from in the spring to where we are now. And like you said, we have more work to do, but you're all of you thinking out of the box and working together. You guys are doing a great job. So keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Great
All
job,
right.
Jeff and Carla.
You don't have to hang around also, as we
right.
told Ren.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thank you. Great job.
All right. So our next item is President's announcements. I have a couple tonight. First, I'd like to thank the IT department, Mr. John Duplay and his staff. At last month's meeting, I had asked about possibly getting Student of the Month again. I thought we all missed it. It's one of the highlights of a meeting that we have to see these students, what they're doing. Ren was beautiful tonight. Everything that was said about her and what we learned about her is just amazing. And I hate to miss that because we're virtual. So I'm glad that the IT department was able to come up with a solution for us, a secure solution. And I appreciate what they did for us in that sense. I also wanted to thank them for all their hard work this last spring, summer, and now into the fall. It's been a major undertaking to make sure that all the students and staff have accessibility to what they need for learning. And they've come up with many solutions to make sure that we as a district can function either totally remotely or as we're now moving into remote and in person. So great job for the behind the scene people that are keeping the learning going for us in the classrooms and remotely. So thank you, IT staff. Second, I believe I made this statement to our board members at our last executive session, but I wanted to make it public. It was after a session, I was talking to the board members. And even though this is not January, which is Board Appreciation Month, I wanted to go on record to thank my fellow board members for their tireless work throughout this pandemic period. We've had numerous meetings and discussions during this last 6 to 7 months, which has been more than normal from some other years that we've had to deal with things. I appreciate everybody's willingness to be available at any time. This is not a 8 to 5 job for many of us. It's a 10 o'clock at night, a Saturday or Sunday morning call or Sunday night call. So I appreciate everything that you do. I appreciate you tackling the hard questions and dealing sometimes with some not so nice emails or phone calls. and providing your thoughts and solutions to ever-changing problems and situations. We all sometimes do not see eye to eye, but at the end of the day, we come together for what is best for the students, staff, and this community. And I'm grateful for your experience, advice, and dedication to the school district. So thank you. I just wanted to put that on record. The next item, I had two items that I will ask Mr. Snyder if you could please give us a quick overview for. The first is good news. It's for our financial stability of the district. If you could just talk about the Moody's rating that just came out. And the other is the great opportunity for all the Mayfield families with the free lunch program.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Finaro. Yeah, good news on the credit rating front for those that might be fiscally acute watching this evening. As many of you may or may not know, Moody's rates different entities to determine their credit worth or worthiness when they go into the market to issue debt. We recently were reassessed and came out with a AA2 rating, which is one notch below a AAA rating, which would be viewed as the gold standard. And I'll just quickly read a comment that they made about the strength of the district. And they basically said this, their assessment that they do not see any material immediate credit risk for Mayfield City School District because of our diverse tax base coupled with our strong financial position. It does not warrant a downgrade. I liken that to be 800 plus out of 850 in a personal credit score. So it's a real testament to, I think, the strength of the community, certainly the leadership at this meeting, the governance by the board, the direction of Dr. Kelly, and all the staff, and certainly the community members who really support our district. So phenomenal news. I think during this pandemic, as we're watching markets and the economy, hopefully this will provide a sense of encouragement and calmness as we continue to navigate those tough waters as a district. Then with respect to an announcement that came out about the free school lunch program, very quickly, much like a lot of what's coming out of the federal government, they're providing relief to small businesses. They're providing relief to those folks that may be out of work by extending unemployment benefits. They are providing much needed relief to entities like school lunch programs that are intended to be self-sufficient. They have to make enough money off of the food sales to remain solvent. Most recently, they came out and announced that they will provide a free school lunch to any family or student who applies for the free school lunch. That will be through the end of this calendar year. That's as long as the legislation is effective. And what that means is as folks participate in that program, the district will be reimbursed at a rate equal to or slightly less than the cost of or our cost to produce the lunch, which will help maintain some solvency for our food service program. So it's actually a tremendous benefit to the hardworking food service staff that go above and beyond the call of duty. And this is yet another program that we encourage our family members and those that are in need of a school lunch. This program extends to everybody. So it's financially beneficial, but certainly it's a tremendous benefit to many of our needy families as well. So that announcement came out. I hope that I explained that clear enough. If not, please, anyone, Mr. Nedlick, if you need to clarify anything that I said, please do so.
No, Scott, you hit it square on the nose.
Thank you, Mr. Snyder. Like you said, those are two very important things for the district. So I appreciate you explaining that for everybody. Our next item is a superintendent's announcements. Dr. Kelly.
Okay, yeah, I too would like to congratulate the board and Scott, Mr. Snyder, and Steve, Assistant Superintendent Nedlick, for all your fine fiscal stewardship. It's been amazing what we've been able to manage and accomplish through all these times, and without certainly Scott's leadership and support, to keep the vision rolling during this time is we wouldn't be able to have all the things we have for the kids. So this week was our first week back in person and also in remote. So this week, pre-K came back, kindergarten, first graders, second graders, sixth graders, and ninth graders. And as you know, we try to transition, those younger kids and in those big transition years for the kids in sixth and ninth grade. And being around in all the buildings, and all of us have been out and about, it's been remarkable to see how hard the staff is working to adjust to the kind of model that Carla so well described and that Jeff so well described, to put things in place to do the very best we can during these very challenging times. As you know, it's all new. We've never done a lot of this before, but we have done a lot of this before, which I think has made our transition somewhat smoother. But yet there are still many challenges ahead to give the kids the quality of education that we want to give each and every child, whether they're at home or in person. Ron, Mr. Finaro, you gave some kudos to some folks behind the scenes. And, if you go around and you see all the work that's been done, there's a group of people that are in our central office here, not only our administrative assistants like Pat Wheatcroft, but also our cabinet team. What Steve has done, for example, with the PPE and the preparations to keep us safe has been amazing. The individual personnel and human resource needs that come out of a pandemic like this, and the work that Andy has done has been fantastic. The communication by Lori has been amazing. The preparation for instruction and the deep thinking from Vicki and from Pat have been incredible. And of course, you've mentioned John Duplay already. And of course, Denise Sereno, doing double duty, taking care of CVAC and also taking care of pupil services. So really this team effort of making this happen with our entire administrative team and the principals and their leadership through these, through some real challenging times, I think has been remarkable. And I think we're all blessed. I, as a superintendent, you as a board, blessed to have all these people with us, because they really give it their all every single day. I mean, it seems like around the clock. So congratulations to all of them as well. And boy, do we just love seeing kids in the building this week. So, I mean, it's awesome just to see the kids and have the kids smile and say hello and open the doors and see them doing their thing and see them, their reactions even with a mask on, you can tell in their eyes, how much they love their teachers. And so, and the staff that are around them. So just a lot of good stuff this week, but certainly more challenges ahead.
And we thank you for the pictures that you sent. I know it's limited for people into the school, so seeing the pictures and being able to see what's going on is great for us to see. We appreciate keeping us updated like that. So thank
I
you.
put those on my Twitter account. If anybody out there viewing this wants to see what it actually looks like, you actually saw a little bit of it in Jeff's presentation today when he showed you a picture of what a classroom looks like right now, to try to keep the kids safe while they're learning.
All right. Any other comments? Anybody have any comments?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to take a second, Ron, to
Sure.
say right at you, because your leadership has been absolutely fantastic through all of this. So I just, on behalf of all the rest of the board members, wanted to say thank you as well. And Dr. Kelly, the pictures that you sent, I was so impressed with some of the innovativeness that teachers are doing to really help make it a comfortable environment for students and a happy environment, instead of just having a sterile Carol area. They feel very included and as if they have their own space. I know one teacher had something that looked like a car that she had created. So the student had their own car with a windshield, and that was just amazing. And of course, big grins from the students. So that was great. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Grosick. Mr. Hess, did you have something?
I did. Mr. Snyder and I are the Mayfield School District representatives to the Cuyahoga County Tax Incentive Review Committee. And what that deals with is when businesses apply for tax abatements. And we were recently informed by the city of Highland Heights that a new business will be moving into Alpha Drive, and it's some type of veterinary medical business. And what this means is not only will there be more tax dollars coming to the district, they're going to be hiring approximately 50 employees. So there's some jobs out there too that they'll be putting up for people to apply, I'm sure, very shortly. I would feel more comfortable if Mr. Snyder would give the details on the dollar type things so that I don't misspeak here. But anyway, I wanted to open the door and then turn it over to Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Hess. Yes, Highland Heights recently entered into a 10-year 50% property tax abatement with this business. It's part of the economic engine, if you will, of our 4 communities where we look to attract new and diverse businesses. This business entity will put $6 million worth of improvements into the facility. It will represent about a $50,000 additional gain on the non-abated portion annually. And obviously that'll be $100,000 of additional tax revenue to the district once the abatement expires. And again, to just touch on this and give you an overview of property tax abatements, they have been used with incredible success in all of our communities, which have really contributed mightily to our diverse tax base, which lends to that AA2 rating that I mentioned a few moments ago. Approximately 22.7 million of our approximately 67 million in local property taxes comes from our commercial tax base, or about 1/3 of every tax dollar received by this district. When I-271 was cut through, access to the freeway system certainly can present a tremendous opportunity to develop a very substantial tax base, vibrant. You need the economic development tools to attract those businesses. And I commend Highland Heights, Mayfield Village, and Mayfield Heights. Unfortunately, Gates Mills does not have that highway access, but nonetheless, I'm sure if they did, they would offer these same types of abatements that have really propelled this district and created a tremendous benefit to our students, our staff, and our community members. So a wonderful tool, and thanks to Highland Heights for continuing to seek new businesses.
That is great information. That is great news. Like you said, that helps with our rating with that Moody. So this is it's great stuff. Thank you both for being on that committee for the tax review and bring that to our attention. One other item under the board committee reports I wanted to bring up is the Mayfield Schools Foundation has finally put out their website. It's been a long time coming. It's out there now. We even have, I think, a Twitter. I think we have a Twitter account and some other stuff for it. But the Mayfield Schools Foundation started back in 2010. It was for the turfing the field for the Wildcat Stadium. Since then, the foundation has raised over $270,000 for the district initiatives. Chromebooks and the Mobile Innovation Lab and Mayfield Innovation Center. They provided money for that, and they provided money for some of the maker spaces. So the Mayfield Schools Foundation is up and running. I ask you all to check out the website, look at what's going on with it, look out for some future fundraising events. And I'd like to really thank Mr. Chuck Abbey, who's the president of the board of directors, for his leadership these last several years in moving this foundation from the Wildcat Community Foundation into the Mayfield Schools Foundation in the direction that we're going in. I think it's going to be a great, wonderful thing for the Mayfield School District. So I ask everybody to check out the Mayfield Schools Foundation website. It's at mayfieldschoolsfoundation.org. And I think that's it, unless there's any other board committee reports. All right, let's get down the agenda here. So that brings us to our superintendent's consent agenda, items A through K. I'll make the motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, the second to Mr. Hughes.
That was Mr. Hughes, yeah. I was looking for you to see if you were looking around, but I thought you had it. Yes, so Mr. Hughes. Roll call, please.
Mr. Teresi,
Yes.
Mr. Finaro,
Yes.
Ms. Grosek,
Yes.
Mr. Hess,
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Our next item is other superintendent's business. Letter A, certified additional training. I'll make the motion. Could I have a second?
So moved.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Teresi,
Yes.
Mr. Finaro,
Yes.
Ms. Grosek,
Yes.
Mr. Hess,
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Next item is career technical education resolution. I make the motion. Could I have a second?
Second,
Roll call, please.
Mr. Teresi,
Yes.
Mr. Finaro,
Yes.
Ms. Grosek,
yes.
Mr. Hess,
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
I didn't hear Mr. Hughes.
Yes,
Okay, got him.
I just had a little thing pop up on my screen, said my internet connection is unstable, so that could have something to do with it.
Okay, we'll just make sure we'll check and make sure we hear you and we see you. And we'll pause if anything happens.
Thank you.
All right. I lost my place. No, here we go. Am I in the career technical education resolution? I think I just did that, right?
Let's finish that one. It's the
Okay,
certified.
we're on C. Addendum number 1, certified additional training. I'll make the motion. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Teresi,
Yes.
Mr. Finaro,
Yes.
Ms. Grosek,
Yes.
Mr. Hess,
Yes.
and Mr. Hughes.
Yes,
Thank you. Next item, 9, our treasurer's report. Letter A, financial transactions. I'll make the motion. Could I have a second, please?
So moved.
Roll call.
Mr. Teresi,
Yes.
Mr. Finaro,
Yes.
Ms. Grosek,
Yes.
Mr. Hess,
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
yes,
Letter B, financial statements for August 31, 2020. I'll make the motion. Can I have a second, please?
Second,
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Teresi,
Yes.
Mr. Finaro,
Yes.
Ms. Grosek,
yes.
Mr. Hess,
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
yes.
And then item C, our 2020-21 annual appropriation presentation by Mr. Snyder. It's all
Yes.
yours.
Thank you. I need to share my screen. And can everybody see that?
No.
Thumbs up if you're
Yes.
perfect.
Yep, there it is.
All right. So I've got about 8 slides here. I will be brief. I just want to provide a brief presentation about the budget that is going to be recommended for your approval under the next resolution or action item. Just very briefly, the budget and its purpose. It establishes the legal level of spending authority that you provide to both Dr. Kelly and myself to expend funds throughout the course of the year. The budget period is July 1 to June 30th. All amounts are on a cash basis. So for those gappers out there, it's not modified accrual basis, or there's no accruing of expenses or revenue. And then finally, and this is the most important piece I want to highlight, every year the plan consists of knowns, assumptions, and key strategies that are going to be deployed over the next 12-month period. And during the pandemic, there's a lot of unknown. There's a lot of things that will have ebbs and flows outside of the realm of past experiences. This 2020-21 budget is being developed assuming normal school operations. And the primary basis for that, or the reasons for that, is so that we can contract and expand naturally within a budget or a measure, if you will, throughout the course of a year. A prime example would be we're currently not operating our bus fleet under normal circumstances. So there will likely be savings in that category. However, when kids come back on site, additional cleaning supplies, additional substitute needs will likely offset that savings. So the whole end goal here is that the overall spending budget or identified value will live within that means. So that's what I mean by normal school operations, even though operations we know this year are not normal. Any questions about that concept? If not, I'll move on.
No question.
The budget is designed under the 4 key priority areas in the the quality improvement plan. Obviously, student learning and academic excellence is always number 1. Growing leadership, talent, and professional capacity, community relations and family partnerships, and finally, of course, my favorite, fiscal stewardship and operations. But again, every decision that we make lives within those 4 domains. And obviously, with the pandemic, some of the domains have expanded, some have contracted, some have remained the same. But again, we're still making decisions within those constructs. The fiscal planning cycle, if you look in the middle where it says the 12 months at the top, operations under appropriations, that's where we're at right now. We're asking you to approve the appropriations. Operations are occurring. We'll review and modify those throughout the course of the remainder of this 12-month cycle. But if you look below that, we're planning a 5-year forecast. So the planning for the 5-year forecast, which you will be asked to adopt next month, we're in the process, have been in the process of doing that, and planning for the annual appropriations for the following school year. So the essence of this graphic is to demonstrate that planning is continuous. There are various milestones. You develop a budget, you live within a budget, but you're already thinking about the next budget after that, and even the one after that. So we don't live in isolation. We don't live for here. We live also for tomorrow and the next day. Finally, the budget composition, there are 8 fund classifications. The general fund being the largest, it's where most of the expenses and the operations do occur. I've got an asterisk behind it, capital projects with an asterisk, and debt service funds with an asterisk, because those are the 3 funds where local tax dollars are often deposited and expended. And I'll talk a little bit about that more in a second. Special revenue, specific revenue for specific purposes. Enterprise funds, here are the other 4 classifications. That would be food service, as an example. Internal service, those would be our consortium programs. Fiduciary, think of scholarships and grants of that nature. Agency funds, that would think of that in terms of workers' compensation. We're holding money to pay out workers' compensation claims. Our insurance program, holding funds for specific purpose to expend for very specific expenses. Here's that, taking those 8 funds and then further expanding those out with dollar values associated with them. Again, the general fund, 74.7 million is this year's operating budget. As you can see, the other 7 categories that are listed, you can see the dollar values that are placed adjacent to each. I'd like to point out 2 funds. Under the special revenue category, the ESSER funds, that is the Elementary and Secondary School Educational Relief Act. That was part of the federal government's coronavirus pandemic response. Those funds, $285,000, those are being allocated and dedicated to offset additional staffing expenses related to smaller class sizes and keeping students socially distanced. Fund 510 right below it, that is the Coronavirus Relief Fund Act for suburban districts. That is got a much smaller time frame of expenditure, and it's used for PPE, sanitization equipment, masks, and other types of items such as that. We have already expended those dollars and then some, but at least those are one-time efforts where the stimulus money is coming to us, no strings attached, except for specific purposes where we're able to offset some of these one-time expenses associated with the pandemic. If you look at the entire 500 fund family within the special revenue category, that's all the federal money we get. It's about a little north of 2% of all funds. So we're going to be recommending $130 million budget. So the federal government really isn't that intricately involved with Mayfield. It's a good and bad thing. A bad thing that we're still paying federal taxes, not getting much in return. A good thing that the dollar that we receive from an outside entity like the state and federal government, there's normally restrictions attached to it. And it can oftentimes cost us more money than what it's worth. Finally, we manage 32 fund types and 219 sub-fund types. So just to give you an idea of how big the budget is. So this is obviously, this could be exploded or expanded down to a much more finite level of detail. This is taking those 8 categories and summarizing them and comparing them to the prior years. So for example, last year, the total budget request was 133 million and some change. This year it's 130 million. You can see where the dollar variances are, predominantly in the capital projects fund. That is lowered because we're completing the projects, the middle school being the primary recipient of a $17 million bond issue. Those proceeds from the bond issue sit in the capital projects fund, and we've been expending those accordingly. As you can see, the largest increases in the general fund, it's the operating fund of the district. We do have financial commitments that are tied to things like collective bargaining agreements and other fixed contracts that, like health insurance, that has a different kind of inflationary rate. So 3.3775 million in the general fund and a 4.73% growth rate is well within the norm of school operating budgets. It's usually between 3% and 6%, so right in the middle of that sweet spot, and hopefully we'll come in under. So overall, the budget is less than the year prior, but it's largely driven by the reduction in the capital projects fund. So we're looking at a 1.95% overall decline year over year. I'm going quickly. I hope I'm not confusing anybody. Any questions about that? That's the comparison, and I believe that's the last slide. So I will stop sharing my screen. I will entertain any questions if you have them. That was a very brief overview, but to give you a sense of the budget that's being proposed, and would finally comment that a much larger conversation will occur next month with the 5-year forecast, because we're going to be looking a little bit deeper into not only this current 12-month cycle, but the next 4 years. And I'm going to likely recommend after the adoption that we might do a mid-year 5-year forecast update, because 5 months of actual activity from July 1st may not be sufficient to understand really what is this pandemic drag on not only the national economy, the state economy, but what about the Mayfield economy? As I mentioned, 34% of our tax revenue comes from our commercial and industrial tax base. And I know the commercial sector has been hit pretty hard because of its inability to have restaurants and businesses open and allowing customers inside. So we got to see if that has an impact or ripple effect on the taxes that would otherwise be generated from like a Target stores, because it's based on an income methodology, not necessarily an arm's length sales transaction in an open market like a home. So different factors. Any questions before?
Scott, thank you very much. That was interesting. What percentage of the property taxes do you think we will be short?
Well, right now, the folks that I've been talking with suggest that we could see a 3% reduction this year, likely with first half collections for the 2020 tax year, 2021 collection year. That's what they're proposing, or that's what they're suggesting. So that's going to be possibly 1.3 million, 1.8 million in that range. But those taxes will come back, so it'll be a lag effect. But the other question is, we are going to see a 3.5% reduction in state aid. That was hard coded at the beginning of the year. But we have sizable, we have a strong financial position with our cash reserves, which are one-time money. And as I know Dr. Kelly and I, and certainly Mr. Nedlick talk about, we can spend those one-time dollars on one-time items, but we can also use those to offset ebbs and flows with revenue, operating revenue coming in. So we've been very strategic. This board has been very strategic with the use of its one-time dollars. And I think we'll be able to weather this storm. We just have to look for some potential blind spots that may arise, but we don't need to overreact. We just need to react accordingly.
Very good. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Mr. Snyder, for the presentation. And I'm going to steal this from Mrs. Benvenuto. We are happy you are the captain of our ship for the financial side of this. And thanks to your staff for all the work that you do with the 32 funds and the 219 sub-funds. So yeah, thank you for all the hard work.
Trust me, I've got a staff that works tirelessly. They put up with me, thank goodness. They think it takes a village, as they often say, or a community. And I would say the same with the cabinet team, and certainly Dr. Kelly. They've all been very gracious. They invite me into conversations, and it's that camaraderie. It's what really makes, and even this teamwork is what makes it all. It all makes all the trains run on time.
Thank you. So that brings us to the 2020-21 annual appropriations resolution. I'll make the motion. Can I have a second?
So moved.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Teresi.
Yes.
Mr. Finaro.
Yes.
Ms. Grosek.
Yes.
Mr. Hess.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Next item is addendum number 1, donations. I'll make the motion. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Teresi.
Yes.
Mr. Finaro.
Yes.
Ms. Grosek.
Yes.
Mr. Hess.
Yes.
And Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Thank you. Item 10, other treasurer's business. A, we have the minutes from our regular board meeting of August 26th and special board meetings of August 27th and September 9th. I'll make the motion. Could I have a second, please?
So moved.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Teresi,
Yes.
Mr. Fenaro,
Yes.
Ms. Grosek,
Yes.
Mr. Hess,
Yes.
and Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
And the next subject under this is a 2020-2021 cell phone stipends. I'll make the motion. Could I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Teresi,
Yes.
Mr. Fenaro,
Yes.
Ms. Grosek,
Yes.
Mr. Hess,
Yes.
and Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Next item is the PSI Affiliates, Inc. agreement for 2020-2021 school year. Make the motion. Could I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Teresi,
Yes.
Mr. Fenaro,
Yes.
Ms. Grosek,
Yes.
Mr. Hess,
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Next item is McKeon Education Group, Inc. service agreement for 2020-2021. I'll make the motion. Could I have a second, please?
So moved.
Roll call.
Mr. Teresi,
Yes.
Mr. Fenaro,
Yes.
Ms. Grosek,
Yes.
Mr. Hess,
Yes.
and Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
In other board business, we have the emergency policy adoption 8450.01, protective face coverings during a epidemic events. We are going to suspend the requirement for a first and second reading, so we're going to have a vote on this. I'll make the motion. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
That was Mr. Hughes. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Teresi,
Yes.
Mr. Fenaro,
Yes.
Ms. Grosek,
Yes.
Mr. Hess,
Yes.
and Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
The next item is National School Boards Association membership. I'll make the motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Third.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Teresi,
Yes.
Mr. Fenaro,
Yes.
Ms. Grosek,
Yes.
Mr. Hess,
Yes.
and Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
All right. Before we go to adjournment, I'd like to thank everybody for the meeting tonight. Great job. The presentations were wonderful. Ren just lit up the screen. Thanks for getting that student of the month going for us. And we're adjournment, and I'll make the motion. Do I have a second?
So moved.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Teresi,
Yes.
Mr. Fenaro,
Yes.
Ms. Grosek,
Yes.
Mr. Hess,
Yes.
and Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a nice
Awesome.
night.
Good night.
Good night.